Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to WRC. We are here tonight at the Hungaroring here in Hungary for what is prospected to be a brilliant race. But before we race, we must qualify, and 18 minutes of qualifying coming up for you now. My name is JP, I am your commentator. I've been gone for a while, but it is more than a pleasure to be back here tonight with you, and we've got 18 drivers taking to this Hungaroring circuit for what is promised to be a wonderful session. Hopefully all will go well for all of our 18 drivers. Daryl coming out on track at the minute, definitely one of the best drivers in WRC at the minute, and you would expect him to be up towards the front. We've got a returning face of Drifthawk YT7 back after a long break from league racing, and he will be looking to come back in, I guess, a sort of debut race and set the track alight with a good performance. So best of luck to Lewis. Billy Mewis is out on track as well. He's again one of the quicker drivers in WRC that you would expect to be up there, and you would imagine that he will be near enough at the top. He is currently leading the Drivers' Championship by quite some margin as well. 29 points, I believe it is, that Billy Mewis currently leads the championship by. So already over a race distance. So Billy Mewis looking to try and gain on that tonight. We'll rock on board with Daryl, though, who's on the medium compound tyres. He will be the first man to set a lap, and we will join him now as he makes his way into turn 1. 35 laps of the Hungarian Grand Prix will be up after qualifying, and I can assure you it's going to be a wonderful 35 laps. Daryl just coming through the first sector now, and I can imagine this will be a pretty quick first sector, although on the medium compound tyres, Daryl does like to go on the mediums at the start of a session, which you can definitely respect, just making sure that everything is working in tune. He now makes his way through the second sector and towards the final part of the circuit. Daryl now makes his way around the final corner. Might be getting a little bit of dirty air there from the Alpine ahead of him, but nothing that will hurt him too much. Daryl does go fastest with a 17.6, then immediately replaced by Drifthawk with a 1 minute 17.4. Next across the line will be Billy Mewis, and absolutely smashes that time, a 1 minute 16.2. Billy Mewis setting the timing screens alight already. F1 Mikey Boy League owner is currently on a lap as well. And F1 Mikey Boy, you would imagine, will be towards the top of the timesheets as well. Great driver is F1 Mikey Boy. He now makes his way towards the final sector, and TMS Milk with a 1 minute 15.7. That is a mega quick lap. Tyler Adams goes into third with a 1 minute 17.3. We're now on board with F1 Mikey Boy, who is just about to cross the line, and Mikey Boy goes into second place with a 1 minute 16.2, 60 milliseconds ahead of Billy Mewis. Mawashi then goes into second with a 1 minute 16.1. Sidemen slots in behind his teammate. We've got Durex in P10. Pistol Racing now goes into P9. Fozzie is just starting a lap. Saber Phoenix isn't going to complete his lap. He's off the track. Here comes TTV Hype. Goes P11 with a 1 minute 19.5. Next driver to cross the line, I believe, will be Ollie Southall. Although there are a few drivers on laps at the minute. Ollie's just coming through that chicane, so no, Romeo is ahead of him. Matt's just coming around the final corner but has invalidated. Romeo isn't on a lap, so it will be Ollie Southall who is next to take to the line, although he has backed out of his lap. So next across the line will be Fozzie then, who's just coming through the second sector now. That little Mickey Mouse chicane, always a little bit hard to get through. He will be getting a tiny bit of dirty air as well from the V-carb ahead of him. He's got the Haas just on the racing line there, which definitely would not have helped his quest to find a good lap time. He is really going to be getting held up by the V-carb here. That dirty air is not going to help him at all through these slower corners. But the V-carb now dives into the pit lane, and Fozzie around the final corner. Is there time in that Sauber car? If there is, we'll see now. He comes to the line, goes into 6th with a 1 minute 16.7. And now our eyes look to Andy Price, who is on his first flying lap of the session. Keeps it well within the track limits. 54.2 second sector split. And Andy Price now making his way to the penultimate corner. Always a very tough corner this is. Not to lose traction on the entry or exit. And he gets through there just fine. Swings it in to the final corner using all the battery he can on this lap. Comes across the line now and goes into P3 with a 1 minute 16.2. That is a great lap from Andy Price. The two McLarens, the two Red Bulls, then the two Saubers. Looking a bit reminiscent of Noah's Ark here in Hungary. Zasapi is just making his way through the first sector. Takes a little bit of grass. Makes his way now to the end of that first sector. 27.7 is the first sector split. In this section of corners, always very important you get the car hooked up. And through here, carry as much speed as you can onto what is the second longest straight on this track. Zasapi making his way towards the penultimate corner. You can see that little downhill bump always unsettles the car. Now around the final corner comes the Aston Martin, prospected to be one of the best teams in F1 in 2026. Zasapi goes into 10th place. That was not a bad lap at all from the Aston Martin driver. He beats his teammate, which is rule number 1 of Formula 1. Matt now crosses the line to start a lap, as does Sabre Phoenix. Sabre Phoenix through the first corner. Little loss of traction there, a lot of wheel spin on the exit of turn 1. And then very deep into turn 2. That Mercedes does not look like it's hooked up really at all setup wise. Matt's left the session after starting his lap. And Billy Mewis returns to the top of the timesheets with a 1 minute 15.6. Great lap from Billy Mewis, and it looks like we're going to have a very close fight for pole in this session, that is for sure. Sabre Phoenix making his way round the final part of the lap. The Alpine dives out of the way off track, and there you can see a big loss of traction through the penultimate corner. This does not look like it's been a good lap for Sabre Phoenix. He's really been struggling with the rear end of that Mercedes. Goes into P7, so it's not a bad place at all to be, but could just be so much quicker. Drift Hawk is out on his second lap now. As I mentioned in the build-up to these laps. Drift Talk making his way back into league racing after nearly a year of being out of league racing. So we'll probably take him a few races just to get up to speed. But Drift Talk can be a very, very quick driver in the right conditions. Multiple time world champion in other leagues. He comes across the line now and improves up to P9 with a 1 minute 16.7. And you've got to think, up to 6th is in the 1 minute 16.7s. So could easily be a top 6 finish if all goes well. Romeo Blues is just coming round the final lap. The final corner. Stays P17 with a 1 minute 22.4. Next driver to cross the line will be Fozzie, who's just coming through the penultimate corner now then. Currently sits P8, does Fozzie. Around the final corner he comes. Now goes up to P3. That's a very good lap from the Sauber driver. Up into 3rd. And he will definitely be happy with a lap like that, I can assure you. Pistol Racing is on his in-lap. TTV Hype is, I believe, on an out-lap. Romeo Blues has invalidated. TMS Milk comes across the line, improved by 57 milliseconds, but it's not enough to beat Billy Mewis. Fozzie, obviously, on an in-lap. F1 Mikey Boy rounds turn 1 to begin his next flying lap. TTV Hype is coming into the pits, as is Romeo Blues. Matt's on an out lap. Mawashi makes his way into turn 1. So we'll stick on board then with F1 Mikey Boy, who's making his way through the first sector and really had to get out of the way of the Mercedes there. That Mercedes would have been TMS Milk, I believe. TMS Milk has stopped on track, is now reversing that car. He does have another car coming towards him though. That's going to be a Williams of Matt. The Mercedes driver gets back on track. All good. And continues on. Definitely a bit weird though. F1 Mikey Boy obviously backed out of his lap. So let's watch Billy Mewis then, as he makes his way through the second sector. Little bit of a snap there from Billy. He's weaving. He knows that will have cost him time. And back into the pits he comes. The man currently still on provisional pole position. Will have more than enough time to go for another lap. Darrell's out on the softs. Goes only P7 on the softs. Doesn't improve as much as you would expect, that is for sure. But P7, definitely not a bad position to be in. Mawashi is on an in-lap. Saber Phoenix is now starting a lap. And that is a big moment there for Saber Phoenix. I literally took my eyes off of the screen for 1 second and Saber Phoenix is round out of turn 2. That is a very tricky place to try and find traction. And Saber Phoenix really is struggling with the rear end of that Mercedes-Benz. Zasapi is on a lap. I believe Matt is also on a lap. His lap put him in 16th with a 1 minute 18.5. Zasapi currently sat in P12, was just pipped by his teammate. This will be his second lap. May not have time for another lap, Zasapi, so this might be the lap that counts. He's 7.5 tenths up, so this is a mega lap from Zasapi. But there's a big snap there as he's in the wake of Sabre Phoenix's Mercedes. And goes up to P8, improves by nearly a second, a 1 minute 16.4 for the Aston Martin driver. And now we see most drivers coming back out on track. And these are the runs that do really count then in this qualifying session. Darrell is on another lap. He's doing multiple laps on that set of softs. Darrell moves up into P4 with a 1 minute 16.1. Next across the line will be, I believe, the Mercedes of Sabre Phoenix. Currently sat in P10. Sabre Phoenix struggling with that Mercedes all session long. Goes up to P8 with a 1 minute 16.2. The track now getting very, very active. TMS Milk doing another outlap. Darrell on an outlap. Fozzie is going on to his fast lap now, so we'll watch him. First man in the top 5 to embark on their lap. And this is a big, big lap for Fozzie. If he wants to try and battle for pole position, needs a massive, massive improvement. Just needs a little bit to try and get ahead of his teammate, which, as I always say, is rule number 1 of Formula 1. He's about half a tenth down on his first sector time. But that is time that can be clawed back quite easily. Now making his way through the second sector. Car just looking a little bit unstable, but nothing that will bleed too much lap time. There's a big snap there though. That will have cost him time. Now 85 milliseconds down, and in the shortest sector of them all, this is not going to be easy to try and gain the lap time back. He's in the wake of the Red Bull ahead of him as well. I believe that's the Red Bull of Sidemen. Fozzie now rounds the final corner. Is it going to be improvement? No, it's not. He's a 10.5 down. So now we look to TMS Milk, who's in the wake of the V-carb ahead. So traffic proving a real problem as Billy Mewis goes to the top of the timesheets, improves on his time, a 1 minute 15.5. Mawashi's on a lap. Andy Price gets out of it. TMS Milk is raging and puts himself in a wall. Darrell's on another lap. Mawashi is on another lap. He looks like one of the only men that can try and steal pole position away from Billy Mewis. F1 Mikey Boy moves up to second place with a 1 minute 15.6. Can Mawashi challenge for provisional pole? He crosses the line. He does not improve. Darrell's pitting. Fozzie's out of it. That is your qualifying session, ladies and gentlemen. And it is Billy Mewis on pole position, the only man into the 1 minute 15.5s. And the Red Bull driver, the championship leader. What a lap that is. Truly cementing that he is one of the best in WRC. F1 Mikey Boy with a great late lap to put it into second place. Mawashi in third, TMS Milk in fourth with the two Saubers in fifth and sixth. It's Andy Price in seventh place with Sabre Phoenix in eighth, Sidemen ninth. Zasapi beats his teammate in 10th, Tyler Adams 11th. Drift Hawk will start from 12th on his return to league racing. But at the end of it all, Billy Mewis standing tall in qualifying. And what a qualifying session it was. Ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere. The Grand Prix is up next. Formation lap is underway, ladies and gentlemen, and Billy Mewis sets off from that pole position grid slot. Doesn't look like the strategy is very split. Mostly medium tyres, one soft runner of Andy Price, and then a few hard runners dotted in there, 4 of them to be exact. We've had a big collision somewhere on the formation lap, and 6 drivers have been disqualified. And that is not going to help the starts of Fozzie, Andy Price, Sabre Phoenix, the Sappy, Tyler Adams, or Drift Hawk at all. So that midfield, it looks like it's going to be very condensed as we make our way into Turn 1. One of the longest runs to Turn 1 on the calendar. And this is going to make for a fireworks show of a start, I must say. Ollie Southall and Durex also getting themselves disqualified. That's now 8 drivers out of 18 disqualified from the formation lap. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. TTV Hype gets himself into his grid slot, and we are all set then for the 35 laps of the Hungarian Grand Prix ahead of us. Here we go. 5 red lights ahead of the drivers. They were held for a while, but it is lights out, and away we go. Billy Mewis gets away well from pole position, and Mikey Boy has got Mawashi challenging him on the outside. As into turn 1 we go. Mikey Boy looks for a move down the inside. Mawashi holds that 3rd place. Further back, Fozzie battling away with TMS Milk. It's Andy Price and Sabre Phoenix who are wheel to wheel into turn 2. The McLaren with the inside line, which will now turn to the outside line. Sabre Phoenix making up a place. Billy Mewis and F1 Mikey Boy still battling away as we race uphill. Mikey Boy just not able to get round at the outside. Mawashi still holds 3rd. It's Fozzie in 4th with the 2 Mercedes in 5th and 6th. Andy Price currently in 7th and loses a bit of his front wing as he goes into the back of the car ahead of him. We've got Darrell now down the outside. He gets the move done. Tyler Adams looking to get involved. Drift Hawk round the pair of them. What a move this would be from the Aston Martin driver. He just manages to lose out as now he's got 2 cars behind him of Ollie Southall and Pistol Racing, the 2 V-Carbs. But Drift Hawk on his return to league racing already looking to get in the action. He's now right behind Sidemen on the hard compound tyres. Tyler Adams runs in 9th. Andy Price diving his way into the pits after that mistake. Cost him a little bit of front wing. But on lap 1, Billy Mewis holds the lead. It's Mikey Boy right behind him. Mawashi close in behind as well. Fozzie just a little bit further back. Sabre Phoenix all over the rear end of that Sauber. Gets a little bit of better traction. Here comes Sabre Phoenix then towards turn 2. Is he going to dive it up the inside? Just not late enough on the brakes, but Fozzie runs wide on the colder, hard tyres that will need a few laps to get up to speed. Sabre Phoenix roars round the outside, and that is the Mercedes-Benz up into 4th place. Fozzie falls to 5th. Now we'll have to deal with the other Mercedes of TMS right behind him. Darrell's behind in that fight. Drift Hawk still battling away with Sidemen, trying to find some sort of time gain on the Red Bull, or the hard run Red Bull, should I say. We've then got Ollie Southall running in 11th with Durex in 12th. Pistol Racing 13th with Zasapi in 14th. Out in front though, these 2 leaders putting on an absolute spectacle for us. Into the penultimate corner we go then. This will be the first lap with DRS for F1 Mikey Boy, I believe. As he now comes round the final corner, he does have the DRS then. Is there an opportunity for him to get by? Billy Mewis has a little bit more battery. Is there enough straight line for Mikey Boy to try and go for a move? He looks down the inside. He's going down the inside. Just not enough straight for him though, but Billy Mewis runs wide. And in doing so, with more DRS, Mikey Boy moves himself into the lead. Billy Mewis throws it down the inside. Car definitely not going to live with that. And on lap 3 of 35, F1 Mikey Boy moves up to the lead of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Billy Mewis still fighting with him though to the outside. Not enough grip to make 2 cars go through there. And F1 Mikey Boy retains that 1st place. Mawashi still in 3rd. The 2 the Mercedes and the Sauber of Fozzie and TMS Milk battling away as we go into the chicane. Little bit of wheel locking going on. Now here comes Darrell up the inside. Is there a gap for him? Yes, there is. And when TMS was looking to make one move, he loses a position. Darrell now up to 6th. Sidemen still hanging on to the back of Tyler Adams. Drifthawk will be complaining to the stewards. Off the track he went. Gained time he did. Give him some sort of penalty. But as we come now to the main straight once more, Billy Mewis will have a great chance to try and attack the McLaren driver with DRS. He's got the battery advantage as well. Here comes the Red Bull then towards turn 1. He moves to the outside line. Breaks late. Is there an opportunity? He's looking for the switchback. What a beautiful move this would be if he can pull it off. Mikey boy just with the better traction though. Billy forced to the outside. Mikey placing that car exactly where he needs that MCL 39 to be. And Mikey stays in the lead. This battle does not look like it's going to end anytime soon. Fozzie and Milk are battling away. Daryl managed to get ahead of his teammate on the main straight. Both of them battling away through the fast right-hander. Big contact there between Milk and Fozzie. And this has put Tyler Adams right on the back of this. As now up the inside goes Fozzie into the chicane. Milk forced to go off the track. Now here comes Tyler Adams in all of this. Big contact there. Now introduce Sidemen, and they have contact. This battle is firing up here, and Drifthawk in the Aston Martin is looking at this, licking his lips, thinking if these lot come together, I've got a lot of free positions on my hands. He is right on the rear wing of the Red Bull of Sidemen. As to the main straight we go once more, and F1 Mikey Boy and Billy Mewis will do battle. This time, it's Mikey Boy that has the battery advantage, has a bit of a gap as well, but Billy Mewis still with that DRS, just not gaining as much as he normally would though, because he doesn't have the battery to do it. And now down the secondary DRS zone, you can be assured that Mikey Boy will stay in the lead. What's going on in this massive midfield fight? We'll look on board with Drifthawk to see if we can see any goings on. It doesn't look like anyone's particularly going for a move at the minute. Everyone happy to sit in there for now. Fozzie just managing to pull a little bit of a gap on Tyler Adams. Daryl and Milk have really started to drop Fozzie here, although Milk himself is getting dropped a little bit by Daryl. So the gap's just starting to open up a tad. And Drifthawk still right on the back of that Red Bull. Just watching, staying patient. He's still got Ollie Southall right behind him. So he's definitely not safe from attack behind. But out in front, Mikey Boy doing exactly what he needs. Placing that MCL 39 exactly where it needs to be. And retaining the lead. As round the final corner we come then to begin lap 6 of 35. And it's Billy Mewis chasing down Mikey once again. But Mikey, even happy to save some battery as we go into turn 1, had more than enough of a gap. And Billy Mewis really seems to be struggling in the dirty air of F1 Mikey Boy here. As again, Mikey just able to defend easier than he needs to. Sidemen still gaining on the back of Tyler Adams, just not able to go for a move. Drifthawk is actually at risk of losing the DRS here as Sidemen makes a little bit of a mistake, runs wide. I can assure you that was probably a track limits penalty for Sidemen. As there you can see Tyler Adams running quite wide. The issue with this circuit though is if you make a mistake, it's easy to keep the position if the driver behind is even, well, anything over half a second behind, because the next corner comes at you so quickly, they just don't have a chance to attack. Hungary, notoriously difficult to overtake at. These WRC drivers definitely proving that somewhat wrong tonight. But as you can see, Mikey Boy is beginning to drop Billy Mewis a little bit. It's so close to getting him out of DRS. I do believe, yes, Billy Mewis will still be getting that DRS, which will be gone next year from these Formula 1 cars, instead replaced with active aero. As here comes Billy Mewis then towards turn 1. Again, nothing doing on Mikey Boy. Mikey Boy with more than enough of an answer to the Red Bull. Sidemen finally manages to get through on Tyler Adams, who looks for the switchback. Little bit of contact. We'll look on board again from Drifthawk to see if there's any response from Tyler. But Sidemen gets the move done and moves up into 8th place. Now has the task of trying to gain back that lost time on the Sauber of Fozzie. But Tyler Adams definitely won't let him go without a fight. But Drifthawk is waiting in the wings for any wrongdoings. Ollie Southall is also right behind that, hoping to capitalise himself. Gaps still just starting to open up a little bit. Milk and Daryl still doing battle as they make their way through the second sector and towards the third and final sector now. Mawashi still on the back of the two leaders, as is Sabre Phoenix, but they're just happy to sit patient for now. And Billy Mewis, has he been dropped from the DRS? Yes, he has. Oh, no, he hasn't. I don't actually know where the DRS detection line is, I guess. So Billy Mewis will get the DRS, but that is very telling for this race that Billy Mewis is dropped out of DRS. And here on lap 8, this could be the lap that he doesn't get it. Milk manages to get past Darrell and up into 5th position. The Works Mercedes-Benz now running 4th and 5th with the two Saubers in 6th and 7th. And Mikey Boy really is starting to clear Billy Mewis here. 1.1 seconds is the gap between them. Now 1.2 seconds. And Mikey Boy just looks so comfortable as Sabre Phoenix picks up a 3-second penalty. He definitely doesn't seem comfortable if he's having to go off the track. But Mikey Boy, the car just looks like it's on rails. He's happy to do whatever he wants, whatever he needs to. And the car will live with it. That MCL 39 that really dominated the IRL season of Formula 1. Billy Mewis almost trying to do his own sort of Max Verstappen-esque drive. It's the man currently leading the championship. Mikey Boy looking to take a little bit of a chunk out of that championship lead though. .4 seconds the gap. As they come round the final corner, is Mawashi now in a good place to attack? As we enter the main straight, surely Mawashi's going to have a think about a move here as Andy Price has gone off the track. I can't see any damage. Now I can see damage to the front wing of the MCL 39. And Andy Price having a bit of a moment. Going off the track into the barriers, and will this be Andy Price back into the pits once more? It is going to be Andy Price back into the pits. So 2 pit stops in the space of 9 laps. Andy Price definitely having a forgettable Hungarian Grand Prix, that is for sure. Makes his way into the pit lane. It's another set of the medium compound tyres for him. The front wing change as well, but while his teammate leads by 1.6 seconds, Andy Price really struggling. Billy Mewis still running in second. Mawashi is really closing up to the back of him though, and with an ERS advantage as well. Surely Mawashi is going to be well placed for a move as we make our way onto lap 10. A little bit of a slide there. Oversteer moment for Mawashi. That will harm him in his pursuit. Had a little think of a move as Drift Hawk, first man to genuinely come into the pits. Comes in to his box. It's the hard compound tyres for him. Comes out in 15th place, and Darrell is out of the race. I don't know how that's not a safety car. But Darrell having some sort of issue and out of the Grand Prix. And that's going to promote everyone up a position. Oh well, I say everyone that was behind him. We've got more yellow flags as Romeo Blues has gone round, and big damage there as he goes into the wall once more. And now has Drift Hawk right behind him. Drift Hawk easily moves past up into 13th place as F1 Mikey Boy, our leader, now comes into the pit lane. Comes out in 10th place, does the McLaren. And the undercut attempt now certainly in effect as Ollie Southall's backwards at turn 2. Resets the track. Will come out behind Mikey. Can't see any damage to the front wing of the V-carb. So he will be able to continue on. Billy Mewis continues to lead then this race. Lap 11 of 35. Mawashi still trying to chase him down, still having those oversteer moments out of the final corner. Sabre Phoenix is slowing down to let his teammate through. So maybe some team orders going on. As there, you can see Mawashi round at turn 1. Completely backwards goes the Williams. Out of turn 1, was in 2nd place, now falls into 6th, and having still more moments. As Mawashi retires on track. Drift Hawk running in 12th place. Mikey Boy already up to 8th and right behind Zasapi. And this is going to be holding up his fight as he tries to undercut Billy Mewis. He really is in the traffic here, and you can see a little bit of contact as he goes now trying down the inside of the Aston Martin. The Aston is going to fight it. Nothing he can do. Better grip for Mikey, but that's definitely cost Mikey a lot of time. That is for sure. Mikey maybe looking to the outside of the final corner. Never often you see a move round the outside of the final corner. Mikey roars through up into 6th place. A brilliant move from the McLaren when it mattered. And Mikey moves through into 6th. A beautiful move there. And while Billy Mewis and Milk fight away for the net lead of this race, F1 Mikey Boy with the undercut attempt. And this is definitely an attempt that seems to be working. On board with TMS Milk. And he is still chasing down Billy Mewis for the lead. Both of them stay out again. Here comes Milk then to the inside as Sabre Phoenix pits. You can see TTV Hype coming out of the pits. TMS Milk moves through into the lead, sorry. As I was going to say, TTV Hype stint lasting, I believe, 13 laps on the mediums. As Tyler Adams comes into the pits, Sabre Phoenix comes out just ahead of Drift Hawk. Sabre Phoenix pitting from 3rd place. Fozzie still right behind the battle for the lead, having started on the hard compound tyres. Definitely seems a good strategy call at the minute with the tyre degradation. Mikey Boy is reeling in the top 4 very, very quickly, it must be said. And it's only going to be a matter of laps until F1 Mikey Boy is right on the back of the top 4. Currently only 3 seconds behind. And with the time you lose for a pit stop, Milk and Billy now come into the pits, and you can see how far ahead Mikey's going to be. Pitted 4 laps before them, but already ahead. And Milk and Billy have still got to come in to their boxes. Mikey boy is going to be miles ahead. Sasapi also comes into the pits. He drops behind his teammate and will emerge in, I believe, 10th place. And you can just see the grip on board with F1 Mikey boy. You can see the confidence he has in the car to just put the throttle down, turn the car when he wants to. And the MCL 39 will live with it. He is still gaining on the back of Sidemen. He's got 2 cars that he will actually need to overtake, those being Sidemen and Fozzie. 2 drivers that started on the hard compound tyres. And he is now right on the back of them. Only half a second separates them. Billy Mewis, huge for this race, picks up a 3-second time penalty. And that is massive in the course of this race. Sidemen deploying overtake, as is F1 Mikey boy. Better grip for the McLaren. More battery for the Red Bull. Here comes the McLaren then to the inside of turn 1. And Sidemen, he fought it with the battery. Didn't really try and fight it with any defensive moves. And F1 Mikey boy moves up into 2nd place. And now just chasing down Fozzie. Around the outside, again an unconventional move from F1 Mikey boy. Surely he can't make this work. Fozzie just manages to hold the inside line. F1 Mikey boy is getting held up here. But if we look at the gap to leader, you can see Billy Mewis 16 seconds behind. Milk 15.3 behind. They will be gaining on Mikey, but that is a lot of time to try and gain back. F1 Mikey boy should be able to get past Fozzie on this lap, you would imagine, as there's contact as we go into the penultimate corner. This is really holding up F1 Mikey boy, looking to go round the outside just as he did to the Haas. He's forced wide, forced onto the grass. F1 Mikey boy with the DRS though, I think he had an illegal overtake because he's given the position back to Fozzie. Now he's going to gain the position. Sidemen's going to look to be a beneficiary. Isn't able to get through. And F1 Mikey boy back up into the lead of the Hungarian Grand Prix. And where Billy Mewis was only about 2 seconds behind him when they came into the pits, he's now 13 seconds behind him. Drift Hawk manages to get through on Ollie Southall and up into 7th place. Ollie is going to try and fight this one, but Drift Hawk with a hell of a lot of battery, conserving it very, very well. Here's the Aston Martin driver, getting some overtaking done on his return to league racing, and up into 7th place, which I'm sure is a result that he would be happy with. The 2 Mercedes just trying to drag each other along as they make their way back towards Sidemen. Gap currently 9 seconds. You can imagine that would drop at a rate of knots a lap, that's for sure. They've got Billy Mewis for company as they try and drag themselves away. The issue is for Milk is he's just not in the DRS, or now just is in the DRS of his teammate. And that would definitely help him if he can stay in it. But he's just teetering on the edge and is losing time. Is he going to be able to get into it in time? He isn't. Billy Mewis will get the DRS. TMS Milk will not. He is not quick enough to stick with his teammate. Milk dives towards the inside line. Has plenty more battery than the Red Bull though, as Romeo Blues picks up a 3-second time penalty for those multiple track limit warnings. And TMS Milk really is, as Martin Brundle would say, defending clear air here. Billy Mewis really isn't close to the back of him, but Milk weaving to the inside line And really, defending nothing. Zasapi manages to get through on Durex and up into 9th place. And Zasapi getting some overtaking done as well. Aston Martin running a very decent race here with Drift Hawk and Zasapi running 7th and 9th. Mercedes definitely the best looking team right now, running 4th and 5th, but Billy Mewis in 6th and Sidemen in 3rd. Definitely no complaints from the Milton Keynes outfit. Mikey still just running away with this race out in front. Billy Mewis very close to the back of Milk, but Milk with nearly double his battery. Seems like it's going to be a pretty fair fight as we come out the final corner then. Sidemen comes into the pits, and again Milk really just defending clean air here. Billy Mewis nowhere near close enough to try and go for a move. And again to the inside goes Milk, defending air, it has to be said. Drifthawk moves up a position, Ollie Southall moves up a position, as does Zasapi as Sidemen comes into the pits for a set of the medium compound tyres. You can imagine that all these drivers are probably two-stopping. Billy Mewis still doesn't look like he's really close enough to the back of Milk. Fozzie comes into the pits from 2nd place then. So now we'll see the true gap. Sabre Phoenix 8 seconds behind Mikey. Milk then another 1.5 seconds behind that. Billy Mewis looking for the switchback, just not good enough traction though, as Drifthawk also moves up into 5th place as Fozzie falls to 9th. So it's going to be Ollie Southall, Sidemen, Zasapi and Drifthawk who gain a place off of that pit stop. Sidemen manages to get through on the Aston Martin and move up into 6th place. And now we'll be hunting down the Aston Martin of Drifthawk. Billy Mewis still hunting down the back of Milk. Does look a lot closer, but Milk with a full battery now. Billy Mewis only with 38%. And Milk surely has a great chance to try and build a gap up again with that battery influx. We round the final corner then. 5 tenths is the gap between them. Fozzie and Ollie Southall doing battle. And Fozzie manages to get through. Billy Mewis to the outside he goes of Milk, looking for the switch back once more. It didn't work the first time. Will it work the second? No, it won't. Milk again with better traction. Billy just not able to look to the outside as we've got a yellow flag. That is for Romeo Blues, who finds his way off of the circuit. Is there damage to that Ferrari? There is not, so he will continue on in 14th place for the time being. And Billy Mewis surely must be getting very frustrated behind the back of Milk. He's been there for a very, very long time now. Billy Mewis struggling in the dirty air. Sidemen manages to get through on Drifthawk into the chicane. Drifthawk definitely didn't want to fight that one with the difference in tyres. Drifthawk just looking to run his own race. Sidemen on 2-lap-old mediums compared to the 11-lap-old hards. Definitely easy to work out who was going to win that battle. To the main straight we go once more with Billy Mewis and TMS Milk. This time Billy doesn't look like he's close enough to pull alongside. will now take the racing line, though. Will that give him a better chance? No, that Mercedes looks very quick under traction as Drift Hawk comes into the pits once more then. So this will be his final stop. Looking for the undercut once more. It's medium tyres. And this strategy, I must admit, looks very good from Drift Hawk. Been out of league racing for nearly a year, but definitely hasn't lost the strategic side of things. As Drift Hawk emerges in 10th place and will now undercut those guys ahead of him again as Tyler Adams has been off the track. And I believe that's turn 2. And will now have Pistol Racing right behind him. Billy Mewis still looking to do battle with Milk, but Milk still with a full battery. As we've got another yellow flag. That's Tyler Adams again round. Only 8 laps on those hard compound tyres. You wouldn't imagine they're close to being done. He's managed to stay away from getting any damage. But Tyler Adams, you can see on board, really, really struggling with the handling of that Haas. Milk running a little bit wide there. That will definitely incentivise Billy Mewis to try and make a move. F1 Mikey Boy comes into the pits for his final pit stop. As we've got a yellow flag again. That is Tyler Adams, who is round at turn 2. F1 Mikey Boy emerges in 5th place. And once again, Tyler Adams having issues. You can see him drifting. And that car definitely not looking like it's in a good place. He's going to get out of the way for the lapped car ahead of him. And Tyler Adams makes his way into the pit lane. Matt retires in the pit lane. Saber Phoenix. Wait, Saber Phoenix is leading? I don't know if I'm being stupid or not. I don't remember that happening. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. Yellow flag once more as Tyler Adams has retired from the race in the pits. There's another yellow flag for a Haas. That was Durex. And if I was Billy Mewis, I think I would be at boiling point right now. Stuck behind Milk for so many laps. is there an opportunity for the Red Bull to try and get past on this occasion? He's saved a bit more battery. He's looking towards the inside. Milk forces him to the outside. A late switch by Billy. And Milk did move very, very, very late there. But the traction of the Mercedes is going to keep him ahead. And that looked to be very fiery between the Mercedes and the Red Bull, who obviously have history together. Mercedes and Red Bull, a very bitter rivalry. And that was very, very close to contact. A yellow flag is out. That is for, I believe, TTV Hype, who has retired from the race on track. Romeo Blues makes his way into the pits. And that is a true pit stop, it looks like he's doing. Into the pits for the hard compound tyres. Mikey Boy still gaining on the back of Billy and Milk. And again, the traction of Milk is just too superior for Billy Mewis. Billy Mewis once again pulls to the outside. Nothing that he can do in his pursuit of Milk. And Mikey Boy now arrives on the back of the scene. And this is going to get very, very interesting now with Mikey. Is he going to be able to breeze past the pair of them in his pursuit for the race win? Because he's then still going to have 3.3 seconds he's got to gain to get to Milk. To get to Sabre Phoenix, sorry. We'll take a quick look at the penalties. 6 seconds for Sabre Phoenix, actually. So technically, Milk is winning this race. It's then Billy Mewis with 3 seconds with Mikey. And there's Billy Mewis going round and into the wall. Damage as well for the Red Bull driver and the championship leader with a mistake under traction. He was fighting Milk for so long to try and get his way through. And that releases Mikey Boy. Billy Mewis now with damage down to 4th. Mikey Boy now is in 3rd. It's Milk in 2nd. And this is getting very, very close now between McLaren and Mercedes. All the while, that gap between the two Mercedes is coming down. It's came down about a second this lap. And there, a big snap from Milk. Is Mikey going to have a chance to try and get past? Not into the uphill left-hander, but he is now way closer than Billy ever got to the back of that Mercedes. You'd imagine he would do 5-lap tyres against 14-lap tyres. But this is very, very close as here then goes Mikey down the inside. Milk can't fight it. Mikey did exactly what Billy couldn't do. He caught Milk off guard. And F1 Mikey boy up to second place. The only issue is Milk will get the DRS and he's got plenty of battery to drain as well down the main straight. But F1 Mikey boy now in clean air is going to pull a little bit of a gap. Saber Phoenix still leading this race. But Mikey needs to pull 3 seconds on Milk to win this race. He would already be winning it if Milk had a penalty. But because Mikey also has a 3-second penalty, he needs 3 seconds on the Mercedes behind him. But he is gaining on the Mercedes in front of him. But he needs to get past him and clock out as quickly as possible. Drift Hawk made a late pit stop. It doesn't look like that's worked out for him. But it looks like he will be comfortably finishing in 8th, which is definitely a good position to finish in your first race back. We'll look at the position change very quickly. You can see Saber Phoenix up 7 places to the lead of the race. We've got a lot of drivers up 4, those being Sidemen, Drift Hawk, Pistol Racing, and Ollie Southall. Durex up 3, Romeo up 3, Zasapi up 3, and then we've got Milk up 1. We've got Billy down 3 places from pole position. Andy Price down 4 places. So definitely all change in the Hungarian Grand Prix. The only people that haven't changed so far are Mikey and Fozzie. But Mikey looking to make that difference now as he is right behind Saber Phoenix. And this is going to get very close now as we enter the main straight. Saber Phoenix with the battery advantage. F1 Mikey boy with the DRS and the better grip. Surely it's going to be an easy move. Saber Phoenix forces him to the dusty inside line. But F1 Mikey boy, lap 31 of 35, takes the lead. Saber Phoenix tries to dive it down the inside. Locks up in doing so though. Loses the rear end. And now the Mercedes are going to have to work together to stick with Mikey. They're going to need to use the DRS with each other to keep each other in contact. Or does Saber Phoenix just let Milk go to try and chase him down himself? Mikey needs a 3-second gap in 4 laps to try and win this race. And Milk just has to stick within 3 seconds of him. The gap to leader at the minute, 1.7 seconds. So Mikey needs about another 1.7 seconds. And he will be the beneficiary and won't lose out because of his penalty. Billy Mewis currently running in 4th and is losing time to all 3 cars ahead of him. Billy Mewis will definitely want to forget this one very, very quickly. Sidemen runs in 5th. It's Fozzie in 6th with Zasapi in 7th. Drift Hawk in 8th. Pistol Racing 9th with Ollie Southall in 10th. The 2 V-Carbs. Closest cars on track so far apart from the 2 Mercedes drivers. Milk, is he going to attack his teammate here? He's got the DRS. He's using his overtake. Saber Phoenix also using his overtake to defend. The Silver Arrows do battle here in Hungary. Who's going to win out this one? It's going to be TMS Milk, who pulls to the inside, but he's gone wide in doing so. He's outbroke himself. Milk off the track. Saber Phoenix goes back through, and this battling is costing them because now Mikey is in the position he needs to be to win this Grand Prix. So Milk making one mistake the entire race, and it's gonna cost him potentially the win here in Hungary. Battling with his teammate, just broke a little bit too late, ran it wide. His teammate now goes back through, which is going to slow him down even more. And Milk, when he'd had a perfect weekend all evening, one mistake, and Mikey is punishing him. Now 4.2 seconds, the gap to the car behind him. Mikey will not relent. No mercy shown from the McLaren driver. And with only 3 laps to go in this race now, it is almost certain that Mikey will be winning this one. Saber Phoenix will be under attack again from TMS Milk. But we saw how that ended into turn 1. Saber Phoenix with a wider line. That's not going to aid him in better traction though. Milk with the best traction I think I've ever seen around the Hungaroring. Silver Arrows added again here in Hungary. And this time Milk manages to get his way through up into second place effectively. And with that traction benefit, He will keep that position, double dose of DRS as well, just to make sure of it. But you can see the gap there, 4.9 seconds, now moves up to 5 between Mikey and Milk. And Mikey surely on his way to a win around the Hungaroring here tonight. And a McLaren team that will be very, very happy with their star driver. Ollie Southall and Pistol Racing still doing battle as we enter turn 1. Little bit of contact there, and then even more contact as they barge together. Pistol Racing and Ollie Southall. No team orders down at VCarb as these two battle away, giving us some late race action. The closest two cars on track, scrapping away. Ollie Southall stays ahead of Pistol Racing. Pistol Racing looks to try and get up the inside, but nothing doing for him. And the VCarbs swap positions, but definitely no team orders going on. Sidemen is now on the back of, I believe, no, it's not Sidemen. Fozzie's on the back of Sidemen. Sorry. Sidemen will get the DRS from the lapped car, though, of Durex, and that will aid him in his defence of trying to keep that 5th place, albeit Fozzie with a penalty, though. TMS Milk just trying to save as much battery as he can. He's dropped Saber Phoenix very effectively, but F1 Mikey Boy has absolutely dominated. Penultimate lap of this Grand Prix, ladies and gentlemen, and F1 Mikey Boy in his MCL 39, giving it absolutely everything. And this has been a class showing from a class driver. F1 Mikey Boy always gives it absolutely everything when he drives in these leagues. And F1 Mikey Boy with just one more tour of this ever iconic circuit until he can stand aloft the top step of the podium with the winner's trophy in his hands. Lap 35 of lap 35, ladies and gentlemen. The final tour of this Hungarian Grand Prix circuit. And it's F1 Mikey Boy that is looking to reap the rewards of a race very well driven. McLaren will be absolutely buzzing with a result like this. And Mikey has driven composed, he's driven smart, and most of all, he's driven quickly. What a race from F1 Mikey Boy as he ends the first sector, now makes his way through the second sector, and he really has dropped him. Zasapi is struggling out of turn 1. Is this going to give Drifthawk potentially a chance to get past his teammate on the final lap? There's no damage to that Aston Martin, so you'd imagine it will stay the way that it does. But for F1 Mikey Boy, this has been the dream race. He started second. He got ahead of Billy Mewis on, I believe, lap 6, lap 5. And he did not look back. He dropped him immediately. He made the pit stops when he needed to. The undercut was executed beautifully. And F1 Mikey Boy, with the race of his life, he rounds the final corner. The Hungarian Grand Prix goes to Mikey. He wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. It is TMS Milk who will come across the line for second place. And it is a Mercedes 2-3 as Saber Phoenix will pick up third place. Billy Mewis comes home for fourth. And Sidemen will finish in 5th with Fozzie all over the back of him. They will finish 5th and 6th consecutively. Zasapi comes around the final corner after struggling on that last lap. He will finish in 7th place. Drifthawk, on his return to league racing, will finish in 8th. Ollie Southall beats his teammate Pistol Racing home. They finish 9th and 10th. And then it will be Andy Price who finishes in 11th for McLaren. Durex finishes in 12th. And it will be Romeo Blues in 13th place, the last of the runners. And then it will be TTV Hype, Matt, Tyler Adams, Mawashi and Daryl, who all fail to reach the flag. But F1 Mikey Boy, take a bow, my friend. What a drive that was. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. F1 Mikey Boy wins the Hungarian Grand Prix after an absolutely chaotic and brilliant race here in WRC. If you are new, do drop a follow down below. Live every Tuesday and Thursday with absolutely brilliant action coming to you live from WRC. My name's been JP. It's been a pleasure commentating. Thank you to everyone that watched. And from me to you, wherever you are in the world, take care.